What's going on, guys? Tyson the Trainer here, back with another episode of the Sports Talk podcast. Today I'm going to be covering something I've talked about before. I do want to cover it again, especially for, because I'm doing boxing at the moment. I want to tailor it a little bit more towards boxing and fighting athletes. And if you don't like that, it's absolutely fine, but you know, it's what I'm interested in at the moment. It's what I've been doing my research on, and it's something I want to share, okay? So in today's episode, I want to talk to you, the fighting athletes, a lot about what you're putting in your body on a daily basis, okay? Because there is, if you're a professional, right? This is like your career. You're getting paid for it. You've got people surrounding you. You've got dietitians. You've got strength coaches. You've got all these people who know what the fuck they're doing, okay? But as soon as you are not in the pro side of things, it just looks like it's shambles for the most part, which is crazy because at the end of the day, it's quite sad that there's not as much focus on people who are lower down the totem pole. When, Australia, especially in Australia, we should be taking care of our athletes, our top athletes are put on a pedestal, but we should also be supporting athletes that are coming up, because we're like a fitness country, right? We're not super fit. We still obviously, are quite high in the obese category for a lot of people. But in saying that, we are a country that's focused on fitness. We have our AFL. We have a lot of sports, we're big on tennis, cricket, AFL, NRL not so much. It's still kind of big, but it's more up in the northern side of Queensland side of things, New South Wales a little bit. But again, things like that, like our biggest sports, again, like tennis and cricket and stuff like that, all those people are put on a pedestal, right? But yet when we start to kind of go in the lower echelons of people who are up and coming, there's not as much support there. And I think it's really detrimental because we can get a lot further ahead as athletes, especially if you're an amateur and you're someone who's coming up, if you have the education. But people aren't providing the education. Because the amount of misinformation or uneducation that's out there blows me away. I'm like, what the, I've got boxing clients at the moment, I've got 3, and 2 MMA clients, and the things that they tell me they've been doing, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And this is also the issue at the moment, there's a lot of sports nutritionists who are just bodybuilding coaches at the end of the day. They don't know how to apply it to other athletes, and I think that's an issue, an issue of concern. And so, in saying all this, one thing I want you guys to understand today is eating food and fueling yourself is so important, okay? If you want to perform at your best, if you want to be able to maintain a high aerobic and anaerobic capacity, if you want to recover well, if you want to have normal testosterone levels, or if you're a female, normal estrogen levels, normal libido overall, if you want to make sure that you are fighting your best, not crawling out of bed, not doing the fucking dragging yourself, grinding, yes, there is grinding, 100%. But it can be alleviated a little bit if your fuel is enough for your body, all right? If you're fueling your body enough, I guess you should say. So with that said, I want to reiterate to you guys how much you need to be eating in order to maintain your weight firstly, but your performance, all right? Because there's this thing called energy availability I've talked about in the past. And if you have a low energy availability, you are shooting yourself in the foot, okay? We know hands down, low energy availability, which is usually, below 35 to 30, right? Around that mark is where we start to see a lot of detrimental outcomes. And so, if you're a female, loss of menstrual cycle, loss of bone health. If you're a male, same thing. We have bone degeneration. Even though we are athletes, even though we're contracting muscle, even though we're doing all these things, if you are not fueling yourself, you are going to have bone degradation, okay? You're going to have weaker bones overall. You're going to have low libido. You're going to have low performance. You're going to have shitty sleep. You're going to have gut irritability. You're going to have mental fatigue. You're going to have possibly issues with, depression and things like that. So we know, research is there. Energy availability is important, okay? And because you're an athlete, and the hard thing is that athletes in a weight sport is quite challenging, okay? Because some of you could have issues with food, some of you could be so obsessed with your weight. I have a few of my clients who stress about their weight all the time. And it's weight can be easily manipulated, okay? But first, before anything, you need to get yourself into a good place where you're eating enough to fuel, to recover, to feel good, to perform better. Everything needs to be there first before you start changing anything, okay? Because when you have the basis, then you can start to make adjustments, right? When you start to make adjustments, that's when you can start to create a calorie deficit So lose that weight if you need to make a weight for a sport and get in a good place without the negative outcomes that come with it, okay? Example for me. So I know what my energy availability is. I know how much food I need to eat on a daily basis, all right? I need to eat 4,700 calories a day to maintain 91 to 91.5 kilos. I fluctuate 500 grams, give or take. I know exactly how much I need to eat, okay? And I don't track it. I just know. I can just guesstimate, which is the point you want to get to too. But I know if I'm going to be fighting at 90.7, okay, and I sit at 91 to 91.5, how easy do you think that would be for me to manipulate my weight by that much? Like that. I'll drop a meal. I'll drop a bunch of carbohydrates because I'm eating like 700 grams of carbohydrates a day. I drop 200 grams of carbohydrates, right? Because each gram of carbohydrates holds about 3 grams of water. That's 600 grams off the scale straight away. If I'm 91 today and I eat 200 grams less carbohydrates, tomorrow and I eat a little bit less food volume, I'll wake up at 90.5. I went to Townsville last week, ate the same amount of food, sweat a little bit more. Actually, sorry, I didn't eat the same amount of food. Ate a little bit less volume food. Came back last night, I weighed in at 89.9 at nighttime after eating all my food for the day. Okay? So what I'm trying to say here is once we get to establish baseline, it's very easy to control to get to the weight we want to get to. And ideally, as a fighting athlete, you should try and sit as close to you can. Was that the word I'm trying to think of? Yeah, as close as you can. That's what I'm trying to think of, not as close to. As close as you can to the weight you need to be. Can you be a little bit heavier? Absolutely. But you want to keep it, as low, as close as possible. Why do we want to do this? Because if you keep your weight as close as possible, it makes it easy to get into the weight class. Now, some of you will have to drop more weight classes. I understand that. And, it's going to require some pretty detrimental things, actually, And again, unless you're an advanced person, I wouldn't be recommending water cutting or extreme, exercise to be able to drop all the water weight. I would just say, again, for a lot of athletes and who are amateurs, if you have a weight class you're going to perform at, you're going to perform at well, focus on that, okay? Because we don't get 48-hour weigh-ins or even 24-hour weigh-ins. Usually it's the weigh-in of the morning, okay? Or it's like 2 hours before or whatever it's going to be. So it's like, don't stress yourself out trying to get there or trying to rush there. Sit at the place. If your fight's not until 8 months down the line, get into a place now. Because the better you can sit at a good weight right now and maintain that weight means you're going to do better at performance. Because guess what? You will learn how to get faster. You will learn how to get stronger. You will be able to perform better because your energy available and because you have enough calorie balance overall. Like everything will be better at that weight class, right? At the weight you're at. And then when you need to, bang, it's a simple change. Or maybe you're at the weight you need to be regardless, okay? And again, it looks good to kind of build, be heavier, then cut down to a weight class. But that's at the cost of performance, which we don't want, right? Now, in saying that, feeling yourself as an athlete, okay? So firstly, again, as always, we need our BMR. So if you're a male, 24 times your body weight in kilograms. If you're a female, 22 times your body weight in kilograms. That's gonna give you your BMR. So if I'm sitting on the couch all day right now, and I was a 100 kilo male, I'd be burning 2,400 calories a day. If I was a female and I was 100 kilos, I'd be burning 2,200 calories a day. Just sitting here, doing nothing, okay? Then we add an activity factor, okay? Now, activity factor, first, let's just start with steps. Very easy to be able to track steps. 1.1 is 2,000 steps. 1.2 is 4,000 steps. 1.3, 6,000. 1.4, 8,000. 1.5, 10,000. 1.6, 12,000. You get what I'm saying? So we have our BMR, we multiply it, so let's say it's 2,400 times, if I'm doing 10,000 steps a day, 1.5, okay? So then I know what my calorie is gonna be from that. Are you with me so far? So if we know that, so for me that'd be like 3,600 calories, I think. Yeah, about 3,600 calories to maintain my weight, doing 10,000 steps a day, being a 100 kilo male. Now I know how much I need to eat to maintain my body weight. And a lot of you are gonna do something like, oh wow, I'm eating way less than that. Yeah, exactly. You're eating way less than that and you need to eat more. Because again, you've been an athlete who probably trains a lot more than the average person. You're probably also doing weights too. If you're eating more, you're giving your body a better chance of recovering because it has the nutrients to recover, okay? You're also able to have higher intensity training sessions, not just like cardio, but also pushing yourself in the gym because you have the calorie reserves. You have the glycogen, muscle glycogen full, right? Now your weight may jump up a little bit because once you start to eat that much food, you got volume in your stomach and you got carbohydrates in your muscles that are gonna be refueled. And then you're gonna be at a good place, all right? Your measurements will probably drop down a little bit. Once you get into the swing of things after a few weeks of eating that much food, then what you can also do is start to track your training sessions, okay? So when we track our training sessions, if I'm boxing, I won't use my Garmin for my heart rate because it's inaccurate. I'll use a heart rate monitor, okay? I've talked to you guys about this before, but I'm just going back through this just to really solidify this for you. So for the most part, if you're running, if you're doing anything where this can accurately track your heart rate, amazing. Track your heart rate, track your exercise. Because when we get an idea about how many calories you're burning during an exercise, that's also something that has to be accounted for, okay? So with that being said, we will track our steps away from our training and then add in the training calories. So let's say I'm doing 10,000 steps on average, then I'm doing an hour and a half training session with boxing. I wouldn't be doing that long. Let's say an hour, okay? And I'm tracking my heart rate and I burn 600 calories in that hour, okay? So I add 500 calories on. Why do I not add 600 calories on? Because I'm taking away my body weight. I'm 100 kilos in this. Because I'd burn the 100 calories if I sat down doing nothing. I hope that makes sense. So you have to take away your body weight in calories for every hour you train, okay? Now again, the reason for this is because if I was sitting down doing nothing, I'm burning 100 calories an hour. But if I'm going up to do something, I would have still burnt those 100 calories. So I'm not adding on the extra calories because I'm now just doing activity. So the 100 calories is still being burned within the activity, if that makes sense. All right? So when we track our heart rate, again, you're like, oh, I burnt 800 calories. Okay, but you're a 100 kilo person. Take away 100 calories. So you actually burn 700 calories. If you're doing, and then you track your steps outside of that, so then I would technically be, if I'm doing 3,600 and I burn an extra 500 calories, I've got to eat 4,100 calories, okay? And this is where fueling performance comes into play, okay? And the more you start to get into this, the more you start to understand how much food you need, the more you start to track your calories more, the more you start to understand how many calories you burn during the workout. Not gym session, cardiovascular workout, hard training, you will start to realize, oh wow, I am actually feeling a lot better when I eat the food. I perform better. I have more energy. I am more focused. I have a libido. I can perform better and my weight doesn't change. All right? So I'm just making this video for you guys now. Please start to eat as much as you can regarding the calculations, so you know how much, all right? So again, start with your body weight times 24 for a male or times 22 for a female. Start with the multiplier. So once you get your BMR, multiply it by 1 point, whatever it's going to be, 1.1 for 2,000, 1.2 for 4,000, 1.3 for 6,000, 1.4 for 8,000, 1.5 for 10,000, 1.6 for 12,000, etc. Do that first, all right? Once you are eating that much food, then start to look at your workouts, okay? Take away your steps from that workout and just focus on the calories burned during that workout, right? So again, you might be doing 12,000 steps, but that's including a workout. So then maybe you're doing 8,000 steps and then the workout. So you multiply your body weight, your BMR by 1.4, okay? Then you add on those extra calories burned. So again, in that session, it's been an hour, you burnt 600 calories, you're 100 kilos, you take away 100. So it's like, BMR times 1.4 plus 500, that'll give you the calories you need. And you're gonna be like, surely not. Surely I can't eat this much. I promise you, you guys can. And you're gonna feel a lot better, you're gonna perform better, and it's just gonna make you a better athlete overall. And that can be something that gives you an advantage over a lot of people, just being in the correct energy availability. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that made sense. If you guys have any questions, as always, you can send me a message on Instagram @TysonTraining with 2 R's. And until next time, speak to you guys then.